Hey YouTube, this is the Death Scouter making another video, and today we're just going to take a look at your battery terminals, especially if they are caked up with some kind of rust and or corrosion that will weaken the contact between the cable and the battery terminal, give you a weak crank over, and you'll think your battery's dead, but it's really just not making a really good contact. So what you see here, if you can see the red that's in here, I had a can of terminal cleaner that I sprayed on. It was supposed to clean all this up. Really, you know, nothing's going to do as good a job as a physical brush. And this is the brush that we use. That's a two-piece brush. These things cost about $3. So you have a piece in here that'll go over the terminal, and we'll clean that. And then you twist and open the cap, and that's what's going to clean the inside of the cable terminal. So first thing we want to do is we want to break these terminal connections free. Looking at a 10mm screw here off to the side, and we're going to have to find a way to hold that in place because that's already so corroded that it's turning the whole nut. And the positive side, so I'll tell you what, we'll do the positive side and I'll just do the negative side of the terminal on my own, so we don't need to bother with the video of both terminals. You'll get the idea. So here's the corrosion that we want to get out of the way. First thing I'll do is I'll take this brush to show you. Here's what the terminals look like. I'll brush out as much as I can just to keep the connection as clean as possible. And then let's just go in here and keep cranking this until your connection is shiny. Okay. And you start seeing the copper shining through, and that's really what you want, is a nice clean copper connection. So you do that until that's clean, and then on the battery terminal, I'll put this back on just because it's easier to hold. Just stick this over the terminal and crank. And you can see the difference there between night and day. So there's some options here for you. They sell felt pads like you see here. A felt pad that goes around the bottom that helps keep the corrosion coming off the battery, as well as a gel that you can put on and keep your terminal from becoming corroded. But that is the secret to good battery maintenance. So I would just recommend that next time you're under the hood, you got an extra 5 minutes. If your battery terminals look a little cheesy, if you're having some weak starts, especially now that colder weather's coming, go ahead and clean your terminals up. And of course, you know, do not let things touch and short out. But other than that, and you will have to reprogram your radio buttons after an exercise like this because you've disconnected the power. But you see how it is. So next time you have 5 minutes and you want to do some nice battery maintenance, there you go. Okay, so here we go. I wanted to show you what happens when things don't go as planned. So we had this one screw that was spinning when we tried to take it off before, and just to show you here how these things are supposed to work. These screws are actually squared off, so they hold a carriage bolt, which is what you saw on the old screws, where you know, there was only a nut on one side, and then the bottom of the carriage bolt fit in here in that square hole, and that's what was supposed to hold it in place. The problem is we're dealing with very soft metals. We're dealing with either lead, or we're dealing with copper. Either way, it's very soft, and if you turn on it too hard, you will strip them out, and that's what happened over here. This hole that was supposed to be square like this one, you can see is rounded out. I didn't do that. That's the way it was just from working on it. So what we ended up doing is we pulled out our handy dandy cutting wheel, because a hacksaw is too difficult with that long blade. It's too difficult to get a hacksaw blade in there and cut that screw in half. So we got in there with a cutting wheel, cut that out. Took us about 30 seconds to get that up out of the way. And now what we're going to do is we scrubbed top and bottom with our wire brush, bottom of this, inside of this, all around the terminal. Clean the terminal bottom. Happen to have an old wire toothbrush here. We use that to make sure that we were clean all the way down. And now we're just going to go ahead and let the traffic go by, because everybody wants to be part of the video. And we're going to go ahead and put this back together, hopefully in a way that will prevent corrosion going forward. And when you buy these little anti-corrosion washers, there's concentric circles, a washer inside of a washer, so these are made to fit whatever size battery terminal you have. So we're going to use green for ground, red for positive, and along with that, for $1.99, I picked up some Permatex battery protector. What this is really just a lubricant that's going to go on here and prevent the acid from coming out and corroding metal upon metal. So we will go ahead and squeeze out an abundant supply of that, which I will spread around with my fingers on both terminals. And then now with our replacement screws, and they won't match, but hey, you know, it's a shade tree mechanic, right? This is not Mr. Goodwrench. But we will have strong, secure connections onto the battery. We'll go ahead and wipe this around, where we're going to have contact with the battery terminals and the connectors. And then it's just a matter of cranking it down and tightening the screws, right? Righty tighty, lefty loosey, and we're back in business. So thanks again. Going to go ahead and just get this done because we're running out of daylight. But you know, what we thought was going to be a 5-minute fix has now turned into about 45 minutes between cutting wheel, running out to the parts store to get replacement screws that, by the way, do not match. This is what we bought: replacement screws and nuts and bolts, and they were too fat and they were barely long enough. So we had to pull these out of the Death Scouter supply and wing it. So thanks again.